Welcome to Order Militaris Radio TV. We here are lifelong Catholics, and what we do here is all for free, in love of Jesus Christ, and the Most Holy Trinity, and His Holy Church. We'll defend our Holy Mother, the Church. Our work is the true sense of apostolate. Any funds raised goes back into this work for equipment. This helps us to give you an unbiased, hard-hitting truth that is not controlled by political correctness or interest groups. Today is the persecution of Christians in the West, and I'm doing a solo show while Brother Alexis is busy today, and it'll probably be just me for most of this week. So please enjoy and please share these programs. So we had some breaking news on last weekend about some terrorist attacks in Vienna and elsewhere in Nice, and it seems like it was spreading throughout Europe. And this is from Nat Sec Jeff from Belgium. Belgian police has arrested two minors in Eupen League for planning terrorist attack targeting police. Let's see if we can get the article to translate here. This is the Belgian news. Last weekend, police arrested two minors who were preparing a terror attack against police near Eupen in the East Cantons. This is reported by the French language broadcaster RTBF, according to Justice Minister Vincent van Quickenborne. This shows that our security services are and remain alert. The two had recorded a video message in which they had pledged allegiance to the terror group IS or Daesh or ISIS. They would have planned to attack at least one police station. According to the federal prosecutor's office, there were searches in Eupen and Quilmes last Saturday. Two minors are suspected of attempted terrorist murder and participation in activities of a terrorist organization. It reads, the underage suspects aged 16 and 17 have since been placed in a juvenile facility. And this is from Justice Minister Vincent van Quickenborne. Our security services are on standby day and night and are on high alert, said Justice Minister Vincent van Quickenborne. We work well together with our international partners and read along on social media. Of course, there's no such thing as a zero risk. This case shows that the danger has not passed. VRT News learns that the threat level will not change, and analysis has been made, and no changes are needed because the situation was always under control, the reasoning goes. There's no need to panic, but we need to be alert, Van Quickenborne said. Now they ask, is this a single case or not? The plans of the two arrested minors are reminiscent of the shooting in Liege more than 2 years ago, in which two police officers and a passerby were killed. The radicalized offenders carried out the attack during his correctional leave and was shot dead by police. To be clear, the two were arrested ahead of last Monday's terror attack in Austrian capital Vienna, which has been claimed by the terror group IS. There have been several terrorist attacks in recent weeks, especially in France. In mid-October, in the Paris suburb of Conflans-Saint-Honorine, a teacher's throat was slit for using Muhammad's cartoon in his class. About 10 days later, a young Tunisian killed 3 people with a knife in the southern French city of Nice. The perpetrators were always radicalized Muslims. Whether there is a connection between all the attacks is still unclear, but at least there is a copycat behavior. Then, again from Justice Minister Vincent van Quickenborne. I tell you honestly, I don't sleep as well as at night. The world today, there is no reason to panic, but we must be very alert. Our services are in supreme state of vigilance, both the security services and the police. Unlike a few years ago, potential terrorists are now more likely to act alone. It's much harder to compete against, so we have to get there faster, says Van Quickenborn. We are now also working with terrorist lists, which have people who are constantly monitored. We are better prepared than in 2016. So, yeah, to our friends in the Dutch in the Netherlands military, please stay safe and do your job to protect uh, the Netherlands and everybody over there. Now, right during the elections and when things were getting crazy with the rigged machines to take votes away from Trump's election in Portland, Antifa became a truly anti-Christian terrorist organization. Antifa smashed out the windows of St. Andre Basset's Catholic Church in downtown Portland. Now, if you don't know who St. Andre Basset is, he is a great holy brother. He's a saint. He's a porter up in Montreal at the Shrine of St. Joseph. He has a strong in devotion to St. Joseph. Back in the old days when the red the red candles to put by the tabernacle to show that our Lord is there and present in the tabernacle. Well, those weren't they weren't used to be just straight up candle put into the red glass. It was an oil type candle, and that oil when it melted into become oil was taken and put before St. Joseph's altar and blessed came the oil of St. Joseph. And he did numerous miracles when he was alive with the oil of St. Joseph. It was a French Catholic um, practice, devotion, sacramental. If you had some sort of serious injury, like any sort of serious injury, they would say, go to Joseph and apply the oil of Saint Joseph and pray to Saint Joseph, and Saint Joseph would heal you, and he did, and is that is what Saint Andre Basset is famous for. Um, but unfortunately, very sad that this beautiful devotion and sacramental and everything is not is not done. I mean, if you watch the movie Andre Basset, it's a great hour-minute movie, and just to see how many people healed, how many crutches were in the original shrine of Saint Joseph up there in Montreal, all healed because of the saint through the intercession of Saint Joseph and Saint Joseph's oil. Um, That is how bad the church is today. That is how bad the faith has been watered down. The beauty, the supernatural life of the church is being stripped and removed. While we're on St. Andre Bessette here, I've always had this question. No priest could answer it. And I've asked this. We were reading the scriptures of all these miracles taking place. Actual, quick, acting miracles. The life returning, the dead coming back to life. Um, instant, quick healing. Just like what Saint Andre Bessette did. Those instant healings, those instant things. And then our Lord said, you'll be doing far more spectacular miracles and works than this. I was like, okay. Then you read how the Holy Ghost came upon the apostles and our Blessed Mother into the upper room, and it was like totally different things going on here. Because you see it, you read it, you see it when you read it, you see how the church is today, and you don't see that supernatural life. That it's like in great times of the saints, what we saw and read in the scriptures would be happening in the lives of the saints until the 19th and 20th century, and all of a sudden you don't have all that anymore. It's like it disappeared. Why did it disappear? We get into this modern age, and we get all these corrupt, evil men of the cloth who should not even be ordained, and brainwashing and reprogramming us to think, oh, what was taught in the past is this, that, and you don't have to believe it anymore, and the rosaries, you don't need to do that anymore. And all these people, all these evil men, little antichrists, are saying, oh, you don't need to believe in the supernatural life in the church. You don't need to do these devotionals. Don't need to do this, that, or believe the lives of the saints and all the marvelous miracles and things they did. And I believe that is why we don't see what we saw in those lives of the saints, and the deer kneeling before the monsters with Saint Anthony of Padua, when people would not listen to Saint Francis preach the truth, we went to the fishes, and they came up and listened. Um, or all that. You don't see it today because I think it's because of these evil men, these reformers of the or servants of the Antichrist, making sure to kill off our supernatural faith and trust in God. Because they tell us not to read these amazing saints' writings and lives so that we don't no longer believe and have trust, true and perfect trust in God anymore. That is why we are so worried, so filled with fear, so filled with anxiety, so worried. because of these evil men and evil laity teaching us and telling us that all this in the past is garbage and we don't have to believe it. And the rosary is nothing. That the devotions are nothing. The sacramentals are nothing. And we bought hook, line, and sinker into that lie. That is why what we see in St. Clare when even she was very ill, held out the monsters against the Turks. The Turks saw a bright shining light from the convent coming from the Eucharist, but they stopped and turned away and left. You don't, I believe because of what these evil men in the church, evil laity, have done to us. And so, and that's why I believe the devotion of St. Joseph into St. Joseph's oil is no longer done. Anyway, so Antifa now has joined the ranks of ISIS and all the other Islamic terrorists persecuting Christians in the West. Now, from AFP News, again, let me get the time and date here. This is from November 6th, 3 days ago. German police raiding flats and offices over the Vienna attack. So they found some folks in offices and flats in Germany. So and this one was really shocking. Again, this is from November 6th. Vienna anti-terror chief suspended after attack, the police said. I was like, what? Then it comes with an update. The head of the anti-terrorist operations in the Austrian capital of Vienna was suspended as details emerged of the further security lapses in the run-up to this week's jihadist attack, which left 4 people dead. So, the guy who's supposed to be in charge to protect the people of Vienna from jihadist attacks, knowingly and willing put down the guard to allow this to happen. I wonder, I think that here's a link to it, so let's see if it names all right. There's no link to it. Okay. So we don't know the man's name or woman's name, but anyway. There's some good news. The cardinal is freed after kidnapped by gunmen in Cameroon. So let's see if we can read about this. Maybe. Okay. There we go. Yeah. Cardinal Christian Toomey, who was kidnapped by gunmen Thursday evening in Cameroon's northwest region, has been freed. Glory be to God, Cardinal Toomey has been freed by the separatist fighters. He is fine and good health, Bishop George Niku Okumbo Diocese announced on afternoon of November 6th. The 90-year-old Archbishop Emeritus of Douala has been traveling with 12 other people, including a local leader from Bamida to Kumbo on November 5th when they were intercepted by gunmen belonging to a separatist militia. Cardinal Tumi and Fonsim Bimginglo I, the traditional local leader of the Niso people, were kidnapped in Bamunka, a village in Cameroon's northwest region, on November 5th. A local source told ACI Africa, CNA's African news partner. The Bishop Newt Ku of Kumbo reported the local leader has not been released. The Fawn of Niso is still being held by his captors. They were taken in two different directions, but the cardinal has been released. We don't know where the Fawn is at the moment, the bishop said on afternoon of November 6th. Archbishop Samuel Galida of Ndola told La Croce, Africa, that he had received a call Thursday night from the kidnapped cardinal, who said he had been questioned in captivity but not tortured. Okay. Okay. Let's see here. The cardinal's kidnapping comes amid a conflict between the separatists and the government forces in the English-speaking territories in Cameroon's northwest region and southwest region. Tensions escalated after francophone teachers and judges were sent to work in the historically marginalized Anglophone regions in 2016, and the dispute has come to be known as the Anglophone crisis. Interesting. All these news stories are on our show page, folks, so you can read about them, research them even more. Now, some Polish news from Robert Bamkowicz. They are in court fighting to have the Independence March for Poland. Remember what happened at the Vistula, how Poland got their independence. The court rejected our appeal against the decision on the organization of the Independence March. Our lawyer Adam Janus and Lucas Nowodowski are preparing an appeal. The hearing will probably be tomorrow. The last update I see from Robert was that they are going to still have it. God bless them. But instead of walking, they'll be in vehicles. So that's even better. Make a lot more noise. And the radical left-wing mayor of Warsaw, in having the pro-abortion marches and joining them himself, has got the corona bug. So may this be a lesson that never go against God, the Blessed Mother, in Catholic Poland. And God bless Robert and everybody of the new National Guard, because they were even out amongst those folks defending churches. Well, not one of them got the corona bug. I should tell you something. Yes. This is from Ordo Militaris Catholicus HQ on Twitter. He tried to share this tweet. I'll read it to you. If the fraud perpetrated by Democrats in the 2020 presidential election is allowed to stand by politicians, courts, legislators, and Congress, then there is no hope left for America except a second revolution to clean the rot out completely and restore the rule of the people. And Twitter put a little notice saying, something went wrong, but don't fret. Let's give it another shot. Yeah. Whenever I want to tweet something, the GIF image or the moving image of from Elf. You sit on a throne of lies to all the news media. Well, I cannot put that GIF anymore. Why am I putting that GIF? Because, well, they are sitting on a throne of lies about the election because, well, the media don't call the election. Because remember what happened to the 2000 election against George Bush Jr. and Al Gore? What did they do? The media? Oh, yeah, they called it. They said Al Gore is the next president of the United States. Then left-wing Republican governor of New York, Dewey, remember that one? Where they called it also that he beat Harry S. Truman in Harry S. Truman's re-election bid for the presidency. Oh yeah, remember the famous scene where Truman at the back of his train, of the presidential train, holds up a newspaper saying Truman defeats Dewey? Oh yeah. Same exact thing, folks. It's time to get rid of this corrupt, fake news, Marxist, lying hack of the media we call news. And when they say there's no evidence of fraud being perpetrated here, then I share them, I don't know, all the investigative videos by Project Veritas showing actually there is fraud. And then that's one video from a lady in Michigan who's a vote counter who said there was a red Ferrari that came up to the polling place with boxes and boxes of hundreds of thousands of ballots for Joe Biden just out of the blue when Biden was losing badly to Trump. So yeah, and yeah, that is also persecution of Christian because if Biden wins, the Marxists will, take over and do their thing, and Biden wants to institute a national mask mandate, which is stupid, dumb, dangerous. Because if you actually read the back of a box for the mask, it says it absolutely does not protect you from stuff. And during the craziness of the election night, when the machines started to have their glitch and the votes started to switch to Biden and to the Democrats, they were celebrating a little too heavy in Seattle and Old Chaz district there. Gangbangers started to have a little shootout, and one I'm not sure if it was a gangbanger who got shot, but one person was shot and killed in the Old Chaz district of Seattle. So yeah, it's horrible, folks. So what do we have now? We go to France. Okay. This is from Gatestone Institute by Judith Bergman, published November 4th, 2020. A report published in July by a commission of inquiry of the French Senate, the upper house of the French parliament, has found that Islamist radicalization is a reality in France. The commission of inquiry, made up of approximately 30 senators, interviewed a large number of researchers, politicians, and other experts on the subject. The commission found that the consequences of radicalization alarming, particularly the dissemination of behaviors that directly affect freedom of conscience, equality between men and women, and the rights of homosexual persons. This religious revival for some is accompanied by a desire to affirm their belief in the public space, in the company, in the school, and the recognition by institutions and public services, which conflicts with the laws of the Republic and secularism. I don't wanna offend the French Republic revolutionaries and their constant try to make France secular. You know, these these idiots in France and elsewhere thinking, oh, it's just is radical Islamist problem. Well, it is the history of Islam. Islam has wanted to raid, pillage, and conquer all of Christendom. Radical Islamism, states the report, is polymorphic, insinuating itself into all aspects of social life, intending to impose a new social norm. Above all, we are witnessing the constitution in certain neighborhoods of an Islamist ecosystem made up of shops, food, clothing, as well as drinking establishments based on a law standard, reinforced by propaganda using the learning of Quranic Arabic, the dissemination of extremist literature, and specialized bookstores on market stalls. The desire to impose radical Islam is also based on a discourse on the internet and social networks. It is a matter through the social and ideological pressure of enclosing the lives and inhabitants of those neighborhoods to disqualify any other perspective to separate from their fellow citizens. In other words, instead of trying to raid and pillage and use the scimitar, as Islam has been trying to do since the time of Charles Martel, they're now trying to squeak their way in nice and silently to implement Sharia, this ever so subtly. Until then, when you wake up, no longer living in part of France, but a part of an Islamic um, occupied zone. France, the leaders in France need to get a few things out of their skulls. The lies of the French revolt, the Masonic ideology, and the ideology of secularism. It is these three things that are hurting and killing French citizens. And as I put on Twitter, I'm not ashamed to put it, that France needs to have a tent revival meeting. Dig up its ancient Frankish Catholic history on how to deal with this problem of infiltration by the radical Orthodox Islamic invaders. you want to take over the entire country of France. And what am I talking about here? A tent revival meeting of what? How France got rid of these Islamic invaders in the first place. Charles Martel. You close down the radical mosques. You sit in the military to push them out. You round them up. If they have any ties to terrorism, you don't just slink, put them in the slammer for, I don't know, 20 years and let them share their terrorist ideology. You restore capital punishment in these terrorists. That is the problem in modern secular Europe. They'll throw these terrorists into the slammer, and inside the slammer, they share their terrorist ideology and recruit and convert all the others inside to become Islamic radical terrorists. If they're known terrorists, have killed people, or have planned to kill people, that should be good enough for capital punishment right there on the spot. Because you do not put them into normal prisons or whatever where they can be heard by other prisoners and be converted and have them convert into more jihadis. That is the stupidest thing you can ever do. And you do not treat them with kid gloves. If you want your country back, you get downright dog mad and mean with them. And you show them who's boss. You shut down every avenue of radicalization that there is. You shut off their internet access, their mail service, their radical mosques, any and every way they get their information to them or out. You shut that off. You round them up. And if they haven't done any terrorist acts, but are just known members, you send them back where they came from with a tracker that they can't get rid of. So if they try to enter again, you make sure they never enter into France again, or Austria, or Germany, or wherever. But with the liberals, radical communists running the European Union, that will never happen because they want the destruction of the remaining Christian heritage of all of Europe. They want it to be made into the secular radical utopia. And that may mean bringing in these Islamic radicals to do the dirty work. What better way for a revival of France is to throw off the shackles of the French Revolution, Freemasonry, secularism, and have reemergence of true French Catholicism, pre-medieval. And take back your country from these Islamic invaders. Vienna, Austria. Have you not read your history? Have you not read or seen the video, The Day of the Siege, where the Turks come to try to take Vienna. You know why they want Vienna? They call it the golden apple, the doorway to Christendom. They are still pissed at being defeated at Vienna by Jan Sobieski and all the brave men of Vienna who stood up to defend the gates. Even though they may seem not the brightest or sharpest tools in the shed, these terrorists, they have been indoctrinated, told about these dates, told about these places throughout Islamic history and why these places need to be taken. It is time for us in the West to remember our history, to teach our history, and not water it down, so we know where and how to defend our heritage and our way of life against these Islamic radicals. Until France, Austria, and all the rest remember and relearn their history. Again and again, we'll be still talking about another terrorist attack and another attack, another attack, until they finally wake up and realize why why France is being attacked, why Austria, why certain countries are being targeted and attacked. So let's continue. And what happened to me on Twitter, I believe it was Friday in the afternoon, I was sharing about uh, Catholic politics and sharing some more about the fraud being perpetrated against the election. And all of a sudden, my Twitter was locked out. And I had to use a cell phone to unlock it. So Christian persecution in the West of Christians is just not in Europe, but also right here in America by these social media Marxists who run these companies. And I know all these people saying, oh, go to Parler, go to Parler. Parler is crap. People are having a hard time getting into Parler because Parler keeps changing how to log in and have, like, I don't know, 4 different security measures to make sure things are secure. Now, I have a Parler account and I can't get into it. Why is that? So all of those fancy big news media conservatives saying, oh, go to Parler, it's more freer than Twitter. I don't believe you. As if it were more freer and better than Twitter, they would not allow people to have this much problem trying to log into their accounts over there or kick them off because they share the Christian faith or Christian history or Christian politics. So I use Gab, and Gab works fine. It works great. And it's a lot easier to use, and all you gotta do is you use your email and password, and you're logged in, and no problem. So this has been a short show on Christian persecution of Christians in the West. There really hasn't been a whole lot of news in the Armenian War because Ministry of Foreign Affairs are keeping it tight to their vest about the battle in Shushi. And no, you left-wing hacks of the media, Sushi is still under Armenian control, and the Armenians are kicking the snot out of Azerbaijan, kicking butt, taking names, and taking their equipment. So Azerbaijan is losing the war in there. They're losing hundreds of thousands of men, equipment. And the way they're losing men and equipment right now for the Battle of Shushi, I believe Armenian Artsak's going to finish it up, and Azerbaijan will have to declare some sort of peace or something, because I don't think they can continue. So hopefully the Ministry of Foreign Affairs will release more information about the battle going on later today, maybe tomorrow. But since all the craziness of the elections, I mean, there's hardly any news out there about Christian persecution and terrorism. I mean, even Gatestone Institute is all full about the election. So something is really going on, folks, where they're hiding all this important news that we need to tell you due to all this election nonsense. So hopefully next week or next few weeks, everything will be back to normal with better news for you and everything else. Until then, this is Automel Terrace Radio TV signing off. Deus Volt.